What's going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back with some more hoops. Today we're in part 9 of 10 in the series of teams we won in NBA 2K. So we're kind of getting near the end. Today is going to be teams 20 to 11, and then part 10 will be the finale with the top 10. So yeah, let's just get right into this list. At number 20, we got the 2005-2006 Dallas Mavericks squad. This team was led by Dirk Nowitzki, who was obviously a legendary power forward. Also, you got Jason Terry, who was one of the better shooting guards in the league. And same thing with Josh Howard at the small forward position. Both were all-star caliber players. They also had a very young Devin Harris at the point guard spot. And then Desagna Dio was actually their center. Off the bench, they had Jerry Stackhouse, who was probably one of the best scoring bench players at this time. Also Eric Dampier, who was a really good rebounder off the bench. And then also Marquise Daniels wasn't a bad role player either. 60-22 record. Surprisingly, that was only the 4 seed in the West, which is just crazy. But yeah, I mean, 60 wins, obviously that means you're a good team. And they were. They got all the way to the NBA Finals, but they did lose in 6 to the Miami Heat. But I think that the other Maverick squad getting to the finals, because, I mean, 2011 team, the champions are already in there, but the 2006 team needs some love as well. At number 19, we got the 1994-1995 Houston Rockets. This team was probably the easiest team to make in 2K, honestly. Obviously, you got Hakeem Olajuwon was on the team. Clyde Drexler was on this team, though, in place of Otis Thorpe. But everyone else was kind of the same. Like, Kenny Smith was still there, Mario Elie. You also got Robert Horry, and then also Vernon Maxwell. The team was 47-35 on the season. Only got them the 6th seed. But with the 6th seed, they actually still somehow breezed through the playoffs. I mean, they swept the Orlando Magic, who were the 1 seed in the East, in the NBA Finals. So for 2 reasons, this team needs to be in there. 1, I feel like Clyde Drexler on the Rockets instead of Otis Thorpe would be more memorable. I know no discredit to Otis Thorpe, but I mean, Clyde Drexler is a Hall of Famer. And then second of all, you got the Rockets team was the 6th seed, which is the lowest seed to ever win an NBA championship. So I think for those 2 aspects of it, I think they got to be on this list. At number 18, we got the 2006-2007 Washington Wizards. This team was led by Gilbert Arenas, who was an all-star and one of the leading scorers in the league. Then you got Antoine Jamison, who averaged about 20 points per game. Same thing goes for Caron Butler, who actually was an all-star for the season. And then they also had some good role players, like Deshaun Stevenson was the shooting guard, Brendan Haywood was the center, and then Antonio Daniels off the bench. The team was 41-41 on the year, and they did get swept in the first round. But on paper and in video game format, I feel like this would be one of the favorites of teams that could be used in the game. At 17, we got the 2003-2004 Indiana Pacers. This team was led by Ron Artest, who was an all-star and Defensive Player of the Year for the season. Jermaine O'Neal, who was also an all-star and one of the top 3 vote-getters in MVP. Also, they had an aging Reggie Miller, who was still a really good shooter at this point. Jamal Tinsley, who was a very quality point guard. And then Jeff Foster at power forward with Al Harrington off the bench. The team was 61-21 in the regular season, good enough for the 1st seed in the Eastern Conference. Unfortunately, they came up just a bit short. They lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games to the Detroit Pistons, who would eventually win the title that year. But yeah, I just think that a Pacers team, I mean, Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal as a duo, not to mention Reggie Miller if they ever let him in the game. And then Jamal Tinsley wasn't that bad either, and Al Harrington as well. So I think that you got to put this team in 2K. At 16, we got the 2008-2009 Denver Nuggets. Now, I know there's the 2007-2008 Denver Nuggets in 2K, but just hear me out when I say this team should be in as well. Carmelo Anthony, obviously he's an all-star player, the best player on the team. But this team had Chauncey Billups instead of Allen Iverson, which was actually probably better for the team. And then also Nene was on both teams, but really he was far better on this team than he was the year before. Same thing goes with J.R. Smith, who came off the bench for this team. Also Kenyon Martin, who was a really good power forward. And then they had Dante Jones off the bench. The team was 54-28 on the regular season, but this team actually got the 2nd seed, which was way better than that Iverson team that actually got the 8th seed. And rather than losing in the first round like that other team, this team got to the conference finals and lost in 6. So I think for a deeper postseason, also included with the fact that like Chauncey Billups is a pretty big player. He was an all-star on this team. Nene was better. J.R. Smith was better. I think this team has got to be in the game too. At 15, we got the 1999-2000 Indiana Pacers. The leader of this team was Reggie Miller at the shooting guard spot. Then you also got Jalen Rose, who averaged about 20 points per game for this team, actually. Rick Smits, which was actually his final year in the league, however. But then you also got at the point guard spot Mark Jackson, who was a bit of an older veteran. And then Dale Davis at the power forward position. Off the bench, you had some quality guys like Chris Mullin, Austin Crozier, Travis Best, Sam Perkins, who was pretty important for them in the playoffs, and then also Al Harrington was on this team too. The team was 56-26 in the regular season, which was good enough for the 1st seed in the Eastern Conference. They got all the way to the NBA Finals, however, they came up just short. They lost in 6 to the LA Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. But yeah, I think that considering this is the only Pacers team that has really even made the NBA Finals, I think I got to put them on this list. At 14, we get the 1977-1978 Washington Bullets. This team had Wes Unseld, who was the Finals MVP. Also Elvin Hayes, who was a perennial All-Star. Bob Dandridge, who was a multiple-time All-Star as well. And then Phil Chenier, who was a really good scorer and passer at the guard position. Other notable players include Kevin Grevy at the shooting guard. You also got Tom Henderson, who was another guard. And then Mitch Kupchak came off the bench. The team was 44-38 in the regular season, only good enough for the 3 seed, but that didn't matter because they still went on to win the NBA championship. And like how I had with the 77 Trailblazers and the 79 Supersonics, I got all these late 70s championship teams, so why not put the Bullets in here as well, especially with a trio of Unseld, Elvin Hayes, and Bob Dandridge, and even Phil Chenier wasn't that bad either. At 13, we got the 1957-1958 St. Louis Hawks. This team was led by Bob Pettit, one of the greatest power forwards ever. Cliff Hagan, who was a really good scorer back in the day. Slater Martin, who's also a Hall of Fame player. Ed McCauley wasn't too bad back in the day either. He was a multiple-time All-Star. And other guys weren't that bad, like Jack McMahon was all right, and so was Chuck Scher off the bench. 41-31 record in the regular season. That got them the 1st seed, and with that, they actually won the NBA championship. So just like all these other teams that have only one title, we got the Hawks team on here too. And with Bob Pettit being such a legendary player, and also Cliff Hagan and Slater Martin are actually Hall of Fame players, I think that they got to be somewhere pretty high on the top 100 list. At number 12, we got the 1992-1993 New Jersey Nets. This team was led by Drazen Petrovic, who was the leading scorer and made All-NBA 3rd team. Also, Derek Coleman made All-NBA 3rd team too. Kenny Anderson was a really solid point guard on this squad. Sam Bowie was a very serviceable big man. And then Chris Morris was the small forward, and off the bench, Ramil Robinson put in quite a bit of points, double-digit scoring. 43-39 record. They got the 6th seed, and they did lose in the first round. But one of the reasons I kind of have them higher is because last year, Kenny Anderson actually put on his Twitter that they were going to be in the game, 2K19, but they never were. So then it made me think about them, and just by looking at this team more and more, I get more interested in wanting them in the game. So there's my bias, but I would like to see them in the game, and I'm sure some of you guys would as well. And at number 11, we got the Los Angeles Lakers from 2012-2013. This team had Kobe Bryant, who was literally going off the whole year, had an MVP type season. Dwight Howard was one of the best big men in the league. You got Steve Nash, who was a year removed from an all-star appearance. Pau Gasol, who is obviously a future Hall of Famer. And then Metta World Peace was at the small forward position, with guys off the bench like Antoine Jamison, who was a pretty good scorer. And then Steve Blake was not bad either. 45-37 record though, and they did lose in the first round. They actually got swept in the first round. So really, it's like, what went wrong for this team? Well, mainly one was team chemistry, which didn't really work out with Kobe and Dwight, and then Dwight and Nash. Mainly just like Dwight didn't get along with anyone. And then the other thing was injuries. I mean, Steve Nash got injured like the first game of the season. Dwight had lingering back issues. Kobe tore his Achilles, all that sort of stuff. But when this team was healthy, all put together, it definitely was a team that was meant for NBA 2K. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, since there's only one more part left, and it's the top 10, leave a comment down below in this video who you think is a team, or who you think are some of the teams that will be in the top 10. Also, I'm gonna put on the screen my Twitter and my Instagram, so you can go follow that for more updates on this channel if you want, if you're interested, you know. But other than that, I think it's gonna do it for this episode right now. So yeah, I'm out. Peace.